Genise Shelton, and I am best known as the newest cast member of Season 4, Married to Medicine. I was born and raised in Chicago, the south side of Chicago, and I've been living here in Atlanta for about 17 years. Background has always been education and acting, and my newest and most passionate project that I'm working on right now is my foundation, Our Children's Keeper. Is a foundation I formed early of last year, and the reason why I formed this foundation is because I was disheartened that so many of our children, our black and brown children, can go missing in this world and be treated as an afterthought. And as a mother myself of 6 beautiful kids, there was just no way that I can sit back and be silent about this issue. And I wanted to use my platform that I was blessed with from Married to Medicine to raise awareness of this horrific situation, and want to make sure that we can do our part as far as bringing our children home safely.
I was looking for that affection. I was looking for that attention. You know, I had the most attention growing up because I was the only child, but once my mom started having other kids, I think I started acting out because the attention wasn't so much on me anymore. It was the babies, it was, you know, other things going on, and then my real dad not being there, I kind of just was like, well, nobody cares that I'm here anyway, so let me just run away and not be around anyway. And that pretty much got me in that pattern of just leaving home all the time, starting at 14. But once that happened, I was in the house. You know, once I came back, I was just like, I don't want to leave the house anymore. Like, it took me a long time for me to even go to the grocery store by myself, to do anything, because I was so like paranoid of what's going on. So but now me and my real dad are trying to work on our relationship. You know, I'm forgiving him because, you know, he knows that what I went through, and, you know, I'm just trying to forgive and move on. I didn't go through counseling. That's something that I really wish that I did back then at 16, but at that time I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was so angry. I went through a period of time, even when I turned like 17, I had such anger towards men that even if a man was to even walk past me, touch me, anything, I would just physically get sick. You know, like, it was really, I really had to go through a situation where I had to find myself, because I had to keep telling myself, you don't have to go back to this. You don't have to, just because you went through that at a young age, you don't have to keep going back through that throughout life. You know, and that's something that I had to really just work through. But now I feel like this is counseling to me too, because now that I can talk to other girls and see their point of view, so I can let them know, like, hey, I went through that. I've been through that. You don't have to go through the same thing. I was in and out of juvenile because of runaway. Yeah, pretty much runaway. That was like my real charge that I had. That, and me and my mom used to get into altercations a lot because I would be so angry. I had a lot of anger, you know, and I feel like a lot of that probably came from my dad not being around, because, you know, I wanted, like I said, I want that attention. Even though I had a stepdad, it wasn't the same at that time. Now I love my dad. My stepdad, he's my dad. I love him, you know, but at the time I just couldn't put that together. Like, I have my real dad, but I don't, you know, he's not around, so I'm just leaving. And that's pretty much where everything stems from. Well, me and my mom's biggest issue was communication, I would say, because I would listen to things that she would tell me to do, but it would be like, okay, why are you telling me that I can't go anywhere, or why I can't hang with my friends, or why I can't, because she was so overprotective, because when I was younger, I was molested. So her being a single mother and having her only child go through a situation like that, growing up, she just thought the best thing to do was to just keep me sheltered. So when my friends would go out to party, you know, go to skating rinks and stuff like that, I was in the house. So it kind of, you know, the older I got, I was like, okay, I want to go out, I want to do this, and since you're not going to let me do it, I'm going to go and do it myself. So we didn't really have, our communication was always kind of back and forth, arguing, and me not listening, me being disobedient, you know, hard-headed, wanting to think that everything was what it was, because I did have the luxury that some kids probably didn't have, because I had a, you know, I went to elite schools, I went to private schools, but I still was broken inside. So even though I had all the nice things, and, you know, I still didn't have that peace that I needed. And having a mother that was like strict and Bible Belt, you know, it kind of was just like, oh, this is too much. And That's why I used to just leave and run away all the time. But I would get out there and it would be absolutely nothing. You know, like, but it was just that, I don't know if it was the thrill at the time that I was doing that, or it was just because I was so hurt and angry that I just wanted to always run away from the situation when it got bad. While I was abducted, I did have to perform acts. Mostly the acts were with the pimp. He would pretty much make me and the girls, all of us, do things together. He really didn't want me in the streets like that because, like I said, I was young. I was 16, so I was more of a high risk for him. So that's why he would have me do more things with him, and he would have me recruit other females, and sometimes he would have me with the girls on the street. But the one time he really did have me, we ended up getting locked up. And after that, I think he was trying to send me to a different state. After that situation, before the bail bonding signing, they were planning on sending me to New York. I had no idea about it. The girl ended up telling my mom later on that that's what they were planning because they wanted me to get out the state. They were supposed to send me to a different pimp in New York. I didn't even know that. So I was blessed because I felt like if I would have made it to New York, I wouldn't have made it back home because they probably wouldn't have found me that far away from home. At least 2 girls in the house with me, and his kids. He had a boy and a girl. Yeah, they were younger kids. He had custody of them, but they were around. They knew. I don't know if they knew because they were little, but their mother did the same thing. So he ended up getting custody of them. But you're still in the problem. You're still the situation. So they were there majority of the time, but it did get to a point. I will say this, that he brainwashed me to the point where it kind of, at one point, didn't feel like a kidnapping anymore. You know, it kind of felt like a little family because I was there so much. You know, basically, you scared me to the point where I just wanted to stay. Not that I wanted to stay, but sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, we did have good times out of the situation. Me being 16, you know, I kind of adapted to the situation. I was just like, well, you know, he sleeps with the gun next to him every night. We had to sleep with the, you know, he had me so controlled. I was so scared to leave. Like, some days I would just sit there and be like, you can literally just run out this door. But what if he goes to your family and kills him or do anything, you know? So that's pretty much what I was battling when I was over there.
Well, let me just say this. Sade is a product of a generational curse because I was a runaway. I was a runaway, and I believe that the fruit doesn't fall too far from the tree. And you, as a parent, we don't realize the things that we do in our youth. If we're not careful, they can spill over into our children, especially if we don't break the curse, if we don't change the parental training. And so I think with Sade, to me, in my opinion, I really didn't think she had a reason to run away. I mean, we have been homeless for 7 years. You know, we stayed with 23 people when we got here to Atlanta. We came all the way from nothing, from the streets, from sleeping in the car, you know, real bad situations, to now we in Gwinnett, living in a big $200,000 house, the Mercedes-Benz in the driveway. And to me, I'm thinking she's trying to act like Nunu from, what's the movie? ATL. I'm like, you know, I think it was more of a part where she saw we were so close during the struggle, and then now that we're expanding, we don't have, you know, maybe we weren't as close anymore because I've got a husband, I've got other children, and you know, life is just going on. And so I think that connection, the closeness that we had, she felt disconnected. And then we're in a whole new environment. It's something new now. We're not struggling. She got some new clothes on. We live in a nice house in a nice neighborhood. And so I just think it was just the things that I went through, just rebellion, you know, just wanting to experience life a little bit faster than it comes to us. And so, you know, it's just, well, having a family and having a husband, I almost felt like I had 2 different personalities. That I had to perform as a mother with other children, and I wasn't true to myself. It was like I had two different personalities, because honestly, all day long, I could not wait until they went to bed. I couldn't wait till their meal was finished. I couldn't wait until their baths were taken. I couldn't wait till my husband got in my face asking me for marital duties. I couldn't wait till those things were over, because my heart was broken. My heart was missing my child, and that's all that I can think of. And so the other personality was, I have to now take off Becky and go into Bequisha mode. I have to go into a mode in my mind that I'm not really used to. So I almost had to put a character, because I didn't grow up like that. I almost had to become a character to be able to even face the fact when I walk into the police station, there's hundreds of pictures of people missing, murdered, wanted, that this is a real criminal case that I'm working. And so it took a lot of prayer, because I was very angry, extremely angry, to the point that I remember walking down Stewart Avenue, and all of the other police officers, the females, you know, they were picking up guys, and I was like, oh, I just want to pick up one, you know, so they can go to jail. You know, I had this like in the back of my mind, and no guy would talk to me, and I would be like, why? And you know what, no guy couldn't get anybody to blow the horn. And then my ego got kind of in a way, because I had on my, you know, high heel boots, and I took some pants and cut them off and put on my little shorts. You know, I had my little moment, you know, and my ego was kind of hurt. But what they told me is that you can see it all over you. You can see the anger, you can see the hurt, you can see the newness of even being on the street, because these girls ain't wearing brand new boots. You can tell by your shoes that you're not a real prostitute, because I didn't look used, you know. And so learning those different things were, you know, I couldn't go home and discuss that with my family or my friends. I couldn't go home and tell them I'm working on a case, you know. And so it was a very lonely, dual personality. Through the strength of God, though, that I was able to balance that without cracking, because there were days, you know, that I almost cracked, you know. I think the hardest part was actually when we got her back, integrating her back into the family. That to me was just as hard, if not harder, than it was while she was missing. Because while she was missing, it still was peaceful. The kids didn't know. They were young and they were playing, and you know, bringing her back and bringing all her broken pieces to mix with my broken pieces and trying to put the family back together it was overwhelming.
Yeah. Did you have support?
Nope.
Just say I had no support.
I had no support. I would say that my husband at the time supported me the best that he knew how, because you know, he never experienced anything like it. And I think because he's not her natural father, he's her stepfather, it was almost a disconnect there for him. So the support truly came from me seeking God in prayer, and it was needed. Like I said, bringing her back home, the support was needed to help rehabilitate her. I had to really use the wisdom of God, because we brought her back home. We had suicide attempts. I've had to have her committed to a mental institution through Children's Health Care. And I remember we went to, we had her locked up. The doctor, you know, I forced them to lock her up because she kept threatening to kill herself. She was cutting herself. She was just really, really broken and going through a lot of stuff. And I remember going to visit her one day, the next day after they had her, and she was all happy, laughing, ha 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 ha, you know, oh mom, this is no piece of cake, we're gonna be fine, da 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 da. And I was like, okay, hold on. So what did y'all give her? And they said, well, we gave her Prozac. I said, all right, I'm gonna need you to get the doctor and let her, I'm signing her out, because we're not gonna do drugs. We're not gonna hee laugh, you know, we're not gonna be on happy pills. We're not gonna have a substitute. We're gonna face this. And so I signed her out. I brought her home and I said, listen, you're not your past. Tough love. I know this happened and it's going to be very difficult, and we're going to walk through this together, but we are not going to be dependent on anything other than the Word of God, your relationship with God, and prayer to get you through this. And that's what we've done. And, you know, praise be to God, you know.
Yeah.
My baby in her right mind, and she's strong and she's beautiful, and she has two beautiful grandchildren. And I mean, I have two beautiful grandchildren, and yeah, so it's pretty good. I would give parents the advice for their children that build a relationship of communication before the fussing and the argument. Build a really good solid foundation as far as a relationship so that they can come to talk to you about anything. If I was a little bit more open and I was able to talk to her about things, I don't think that she would have kept all that energy and negativity, and it would cause her to want to run away, or cause her, because she could say, well, Mom, I want to run away, or I've always thought about doing this, and we could have talked it out before she walked it out. And so I would tell people, parents, to have a strong communication with your children, have a strong relationship with your children, and then listen. We talk too much. As parents, we talk way too much. They have a lot to talk about. They have a lot of peer pressure coming from schools. They have a lot of thoughts that they're going through. Their bodies are changing. We just need to not give our advice all the time, but maybe just listen a little bit more. So I would also, encourage parents to do those things as well.
Our Children's Keeper exists as the voice, the echo, and the reminder for our missing children across the nation. We remember their faces, and we will keep their conversation alive and relevant across social media and in our communities. Together, we can provide the proper tools, shelter, and protection for our missing children and bring them home safely.